My name's Melissa, and I am many things. I'm Black, I'm a cis woman, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm hopefully a decent friend, and I'm a mother to amazing children, 2 amazing children in fact. Being a mother also makes me an advocate because my children happen to be autistic, and I'm autistic as well. And I know what you're thinking, but she doesn't look autistic. Believe it or not, autistic people don't look autistic. Actually, what does autism even look like? There are many labels banded around to describe me. Asperger's, high functioning autistic, low functioning autistic, mild autism, severe autism, and there's a growing momentum within the autism community. We really don't like having these labels. We just want to be referred to as autistic. Now, there's a lot of hoo-ha and a lot of debate and a lot of discussion about the right way to address us. But let me make this really clear. I can have the flu. I can pick up a pen. I can have a virus. I can have a cold. I can have a handbag in my hand. I cannot have autism. I can't pick it up and put it down when I want to. It's part of my DNA. It's woven into every aspect of me, just like I am Black. So I'm Black and I am autistic. I started my organisation, Miss Taught, when my daughter was 7 years old. She repeatedly came home from school upset because somebody in class kept telling her that autism was a disease. His prejudice, the ignorance and prejudice of his family was impacting my child and my family, and it wasn't good enough. What also wasn't good enough was how the school handled it. They handled it incredibly badly. So I started my organisation, Miss Taught, as a training and consultancy organisation for autism. So it's an autistic person teaching you about autism. I do trainings in schools, in faith settings, in the private and public sector. But my biggest joy is to just chill and interact with other autistic individuals, especially autistic parents, because I am one, and I see how empathic, loving, compassionate, and how fiercely we fight for the rights and needs of our children, and never take for granted just how deeply and how strongly we love our children. There's this myth that we don't have compassion, that we don't have empathy, and it's actually BS. I know I'm not allowed to swear on here, but I so want to swear right now. Another thing I feel that my children's school handles poorly is Black history. And that meant last year I devised a workshop called Black History Month for Dummies and White Teachers. And it feels quite fitting when we look at the state of the current planet. Now, whether you understand it or not, we've got 2 pandemics that are going on right now that I'm personally trying to physically, spiritually, and emotionally survive. Both are a matter of life and death, but both don't affect everyone in the United Kingdom. They're COVID-19 and racism. I'm a Black woman. I'm a Black British mother raising 2 Black children. We are intersected with disability, race, and gender. Now, you may ask, gender? How can my son be impacted by gender? My daughter and I are both female, cisgender women. So people will understand that intersection because most people will acknowledge the inequalities that a woman faces. But it's supposed to be a man's world. So people may be thinking, well, how can I argue that my son is intersected by his gender as well? He's a black boy, plain and simply. And black boys, especially Caribbean descended black boys, when you think about their future, the statistical outcome is pretty grim. We can see that there's racial bias, there's microaggressions, there's institutional racism, whatever you want to call it. It means that my beautiful, funny, kind, caring black son is likely to not succeed in education and in career. And I've got some stats for you. My black son is 9 times more likely to be stopped and searched. My black son is 3 times more likely to be arrested. My black son is 3 times more likely to be tasered. My black son is 4 times more likely to be detained under the Mental Health Act. My black son is twice as likely to die in police custody with the use of force or restraint. Half of the young people in prison are black and brown. Now add in to the fact that my son is autistic. So when you think about that, the numbers exponentially, his life is pretty grim. Now, the immediate pandemic is, of course, Covid-19, and it's something we can all understand. But then I also have to add into it that black and brown communities, and notice I don't use BAME, because black and minority ethnic BAME is really offensive to a lot of us. You're basically putting everybody who isn't white under an umbrella and labeling us with that, giving it that rubber stamp for the rest of our lives. So we're not individual. It's not individual cultures. We're just BAME. So like I said, anyway, I digress. So yeah, the immediate pandemic is, of course, COVID. But then we remember that black and brown communities are more likely to contract it and die from it. And the government has only published a substandard report without sharing why and how we combat it. In their infinite wisdom, our government are sending us back to work, sending us back on public transport, sending our children back to school. And I keep hearing people say, well, when children catch it, they don't get very ill. But what you need to remember, our children will be bringing that back home to that black and brown family who are more likely to contract it and more likely to die from it. So how can I, in all honesty, sit here and talk about the pandemic, COVID-19, without talking about the pandemic of what is happening in communities of people who look like me? How can we look at the urgency of COVID-19 without looking at the urgency of Black Lives Mattering? It's impossible to do, and it's something I won't do. Not anymore. There's times where I've kept silent because I've not felt in a safe space, but not anymore. I matter. My children's lives matter. They matter as much as yours do. So when I hear people say all lives matter, it's painful to me. Because isn't it obvious that I believe that too? Isn't it obvious in the work that I'm doing that I want equality for all disabled children? What I'm trying to say is, in order for people to truly believe that all lives matter, they have to believe that Black Lives Matter. So yeah, that's me, Miss Taught, autism consultant and trainer, Black woman, proud Black woman, happy, healthy, funny mother